Hey everybody, how's it going? My name is Michael, and I am joined today by Miss Celia. So, Miss Celia, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do with Yacht Club Games?
Yeah, of course. First off, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for accepting our
Um,
invite.
yeah, of course, anytime. As for my title, so I'm head of marketing and licensing at Yacht Club Games. So what that means is I handle marketing, of course, PR, community, anything on social media, basically anything that you see, whether it be in a Nintendo Indie Direct or in an advertisement or anything in between. I have my hand in it. Also, I handle licensing, so any merchandising, any plushies, any collaboration where we're doing a cross promo, I'm in that as well.
Oh, so you're just like super busy all the time then.
Yeah, basically, we're a small team of 25, so we wear a lot of hats. Yeah.
Oh, see, I knew Yacht Club Games was small. I've been working with Yacht Club Games, like with you guys for a while now, and I think this is the first time I've actually been able to speak one-on-one with you. So it's always awesome to be able to talk to indie devs. I've been able to do this for a few years now, and I've
Mhm.
been trying to get in touch with Yacht Club Games for so long, and now I understand why why you
Yeah,
guys are
we're
so
so
busy.
busy. I'm so sorry it's taken this long, but I'm glad that we're finally able to sit down and have a little chat.
Oh yeah, no. It's always great. I'm always grateful for whenever devs are able to put time aside, whether it's PR marketing or any just one of the developers, anybody who can come in and talk about it. But now, being only 25 people, I could kind of see why it'll take a while for you all to get through all the interviews and invites. But either way, I'm glad that you guys were able to finally say yes to this one and finally get able to talk about it because I've been wanting to talk to you guys pretty much with the whole popularity of Shovel Knight. And just quick out there, everybody, I actually have been very fortunate to work with Yacht Club Games. You guys have sent me all kinds of review and preview codes for Shovel Knight. So I know you guys haven't been ignoring me. It's just been super busy. But Shovel Knight has been super popular with everybody. It's been hailed as this great old school kind of 16-bit throwback. And even before people got like super into Souls-like games, stuff like Shovel Knight has been really testing player skills and really having people do speed runs, having all kinds of making all kinds of content out there for probably not the hardest indie game, but definitely one of the games that's challenging without being too punishing. To where Shovel Knight has been seen on all kinds of ports. It's been on PC, it's been on Xbox, Switch. It's even recently came out on the mobile market with iOS and Android. How have you guys been feeling with the huge popularity that Shovel Knight has, like pretty much out the gate?
It's such a dream. My team puts so much work into everything that we put out there. So to see the positive reception just really means the world for us. Shovel Knight started out as such a huge passion project that actually started out as a joke over lunch initially. They were at a sandwich shop and they're like, oh, it'd be really funny if we made a game where it was like a knight and he had some like obvious gimmick, like, I don't know, a shovel. And then it just snowballed from there. So to get all the love and support, we're blown away by it and we're thankful every day.
Yeah. It started off with just a knight with a shovel, and then it ballooned to this thing to where you have Shovel Knight and all of his friends with all of these different abilities. Where do you guys get the ideas to keep expanding on Shovel Knight to where it went from just one tiny knight to where now you have, I believe it's like 4, 5 different characters. How many characters are actually playable in the world of Shovel Knight now?
Oh, oof, was the installment of Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon where you can play like literally everyone. I would have to go back and count. But we've always envisioned Shovel Knight as a living, breathing world. So being able to explore not only just the characters' backstories, but also different gameplay mechanics that are truly interesting to us, like with King of Cards, which is a standalone adventure in Shovel Knight Treasure Trove. We threw a card game in there because we thought it'd be funny. And we all love card games. So we're like, yeah, TCG, Joustus, here you go. And it's just always just expanded from there, going back from our vision of just world building.
So you talk about how Shovel Knight has went from just like this old Nintendo like little I don't even know how to describe it because it has gone through so many changes and genres. There's never been a real sequel. It always everything else felt kind of like an expansion or a spin-off. So is that really what you guys went through? It's just like instead of just making a direct sequel, let's just see where we can go with it and pretty much make all these different types of Shovel Knight games.
I feel like with the lore, there's so much to go backwards that like we have to outline everything. I have this running joke that every time someone asks me about a sequel, we're adding out another prequel. So yeah, let's throw one there in the mix next. And yeah, it's just kind of those things that I don't know when we'll get a Shovel Knight 2, but it'd be really cool to explore it as well after 8 more prequels. Good job.
So you mentioned that you do licensing for Yacht Club Games, and before we move on from Shovel Knight, because that is the thing that everybody truly loves about Yacht Club Games, like just the way you guys were able to handle Shovel Knight without actually taking the essence away from what made it special. You guys kept expanding on it. We've also seen Shovel Knight enter other games. I believe he was in Brawlhalla.
Yeah.
How does that work? How do you guys get to Ubisoft of all companies, like a team so small, and you end up getting one of your characters, a joke character, to end up becoming this big deal, into somebody like Ubisoft? Like, how did that happen?
So licensing is a very long and boring process. So I'm just gonna say it's a high five and a handshake. So for that, it's one of those things of, there's so many options for licensing. Like it's hard to say like, oh, this is the direct path. Because like sometimes you'll work with agencies. Like when we did our Arby's Kid Meal toy tie-in that we did last year. That was really fun, by the way. So we like did that through an agency. Another time, devs will just shoot us an email and be like, "Hey, I'm working on this project. Shovel Knight would be actually really cool in it. Like, can we get it in the game?" And then we go through the licensing process with that. So every journey's been a little bit different, but I don't know. The team finds cameos funny. Like we have over 50 tie-ins, so it's like. Yeah, we have Brawlhalla, like we did a For Honor one, that's also with Ubisoft, and a Mighty Quest with Ubisoft. Oh, we're collecting Ubisoft, huh? But like also, like we did a Fall Guys campaign where Shovel Knight could be a skin. We've also done, there's one called Road to Redemption where Shovel Knight's on a motorcycle. I think that was one of the first cameos that we did also. But yeah, it's been definitely a fun experience, and if we think your game's cool and we have the bandwidth to be able to really put some full attention into making sure that it's built out in a way where it makes sense for our brand. It's definitely something that we're interested in.
So how do you actually push that without actually like pushing it to the point to where it gets annoying? Like Shovel Knight has stayed this fun, lovable character, and you've mentioned that you guys have done a bunch of tie-ins. At some point, you would think people like, okay, yeah, it was funny at first, but stop. Like, yeah, we get it. Shovel Knight is funny, but you guys managed to keep it fresh. How do you actually manage to do that?
I think it's a mix of a couple things. One of which is the people that we work with for the cameos really have some fun, fresh ideas of how it's going to be included. Like when we have a cameo, it's not like we're dictating like, oh, Shovel Knight has to do this in your game. So we're always really open to the ideas of the people that we're working with. Like most recently, we announced the cameo with Dead Cells, and you can get like King Knight's scepter, and like you can also play with Shovel Knight and all that fun stuff. So it's really just keeping it fun and fresh without over hammering the character. So there'll be like there's been opportunities where Plague Knight appeared. Like there's different ways to do it. We have a huge wealth of characters, like fun, colorful characters that are unique in their own ways. So it's letting the brand speak for itself and shine within whatever game we're working with.
Oh, that's pretty. So, okay, yeah, you don't have to say any names here. Try to keep this as professional as you possibly can. Has there ever been a point to where someone approached you and you had to say, no, there's no way we can put Shovel Knight into this or tie in with this? Has there ever been a point where you guys just had to say, absolutely not?
Yeah, there's been plenty of cases where we've had to like turn down opportunities. And the reason behind it is a few things. One could be that we don't have the bandwidth to be able to make sure things are on brand and it's staying with our like our red lines of like how our character looks. Like we don't have time to like redline. In addition to that, sometimes the project doesn't really fit with the Shovel Knight brand. Like if you have like an all mature, adult game, Yeah, Shovel Knight's probably not going to be hanging out in that universe.
Has that
So
happened?
there's, no comment. So no, there hasn't. I haven't personally. I have not seen anything like that, but it just kind of like senses of that where it just wouldn't make sense to fit in that universe. We don't have the time. There's always factors, but it would be cool to see Shovel Knight and everything, just about everything. Let me correct that.
Okay. So how about like animation? Like, have you guys ever thought about doing like, because Cuphead has recently had, I think they announced their part three of Cuphead was coming to Netflix. Have you guys ever thought about doing like a Shovel Knight animation, probably for like YouTube or maybe a streaming service?
Oh man, I'd love to see that. I'd love to see a Shovel Knight cartoon, a comic book series, a movie, live action, of course. You know, we gotta hurt the franchise somehow, and anything and everything. Theme park, let's do it. Let's go. But it's one of those things where it's depending on timing, availability, and interest. So I'd personally love to see it. Let's start production tomorrow, guys.
All right. So are we going to end up seeing like a Shovel Knight MOBA anytime soon?
Maybe not right now, but never say never. League of Legends, email me. No, okay.
There you go, right? You got the invite. Oh man. So moving on from Shovel Knight onto the newest project that Yacht Club Games has announced. This is actually when you and I started talking. It was during Mina The Howler's Kickstarter campaign. We both tried to work together to get an interview going for the Kickstarter. Unfortunately, it didn't work on both our ends. So it's great that now we finally found time to do this. So Mina the Howler, that is such a change from Shovel Knight. Where did Mina the Howler come from? Was that another joke, or did you guys just sit down like, hey, let's do something like super different?
Okay, so for it, so Mina the Hollower initially came to be in 2019. So we were finishing up the development of Shovel Knight Treasure Trove. So we're like we're wrapping up King of Cards and Showdown. And as a team, we got together and we're like, what next project do we want to work on? And, that's when the pitches we were talking about, Shovel Knight Dig that wasn't released, and then Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon. And we're like, okay, what else internally would we want to delve into? And two of my colleagues, Sandy and Alec, came to the table with Game Boy style kind of pixel art looking games, and ended up getting meshed together. We ended up leaning into like Alec's idea, and it just kind of went from there. We really wanted to explore more of I guess the spookier type of things, because with Shovel Knight it's very levity and charm and everything's happy dandy. But what if we leaned into darker aspects? And it really started to dive into the gothic themes of what Mina the Hollower is today. So from there, we started getting to work, coming up with ideas, and by the time we announced Mina the Hollower on G4, rest in peace, on XPlay, it was it's became what it is today, and it's truly something really fun. And it takes a lot of inspirations. It's like a top-down Castlevania with a sprinkle of Bloodborne and Link's Awakening's charm in there. And I think it's something truly special because we grew up with the Game Boy Color and the original Game Boy, and to develop a game that reminds you stylistically of that, but it's how you remember the Game Boy Color, not exactly how the gameplay actually is. So it's really delving into that and expanding it to something more with modern gaming.
Okay. So when it came down to figuring out what you wanted from Mina the Howler, was she always a mouse? Do you always think tiny little rodent, or what did it spin off from hey, let's start off with kind of like a Shovel Knight kind of character, and somehow it turned into a tiny little rodent, or was it always supposed to be this furry little thing?
So Mina was always a mouse. She looked a little bit different. She had a big red nose, but we thought that looked a little too comical. It took away from the character design. So we really did start to piece together her look and what exactly would she do and what kind of mechanics, and really explore that in the world. You would get the most fun gameplay, because that's something that we really lean into. Whatever you do in our game, how can we make it the most fun? And so it's when we came up with hollowing, so she could go underground and jump out and then be able to whip, and going with that tile set of how do we actually implement that in the game and make it feel really fun and organic?
So you mentioned that you guys wanted to go back to like the old GBA kind of deal. So would
Mhm.
that mean that Mina the Howler gameplay wise will have kind of like that limited button kind of deal, just A, B, and the direction pad, or you say you want to do a more modern game, so or will Mina have more options when it comes to her controls?
So there'll be more options. Obviously, we have more buttons. We're not going to limit ourselves too much. But you do use like the like directional pad. You can use the analog stick, but I always prefer the directional pad with anything indie. But also, yeah, like you can explore all the buttons. I'm not sure what we're planning button mapping wise for like R1 or L1 or R2 and R1. So we're still figuring everything out, but you'll definitely be able to use certain buttons for like sidearms and items and abilities. So it'll definitely be a full modern game experience, but with like a very flavor of nostalgia.
Okay. Nostalgia is definitely in. People love nostalgia, and this is a new IP that rests on nostalgia. So that's great to know. You said that Metroid was obviously a huge deal for you guys when it comes to inspiration. Uh, will we have even kind of like the same writing style as that? Just so this whole gothic ordeal, or will Mina go for more lighthearted kind of deals?
Oh, we're leaning into the spooky. We joke that that Alec, he's the director on the game, he got really bit by the spooky bug because his first project at Yacht Club Games was actually Spectre of Torment. And we got to lean in a little bit, we got like a little flavor of that. But like how we're writing Mina right now, it's like there's definitely some dark, like kind of eerie elements to it. And I'm just really excited to see where the writing goes from here. Of course, there's going to be puns and like silly characters. Like right now, there's Midden. He was someone that we featured in our demo that we shared with media. And like Midden's this like grumpy little stinky guy that like if you run into him during the demo might be a mini boss as well. But yeah, like he's just a creepy guy with flies and just smelling around. So like there's definitely things in the game that are definitely going to be a bit darker than what you would expect from Shovel Knight.
Okay. All right. So before we get to the end of this meeting, because again, like I told you earlier, I didn't want to hold you up too much.
Mhm.
Um, let's talk about Mina's Kickstarter real quick. That thing was a huge success real quick.
Thank you.
Yes. Did it catch you guys off by surprise? Because you knew that Shovel Knight was popular, but the way Mina just quickly hit her goal and then kept going, that had to be a real motivator for the team.
It was really like such an like I don't know. It was amazing. We're so appreciative of the support of the community, and it's one of those things with Kickstarter. It's just it's a wild card. So sometimes things like pop off, or sometimes it's like, oh, no one, you announce it and they're like, okay, thanks, bye. So there's always an element of risk that's involved with it. But we were confident with Mina. We really love her, so we really hope the community would as well. And we're really appreciative with all the support we've been getting through our development process for it.
Okay, so before we end this meeting, I have to ask,
Yeah.
where in development is Mina?
So Mina right now, so we've been in constant communication with our backers. We have private developer streams where they get to see an inside look on like what we're working on. This might not be much to you, but we just wrapped up development on September, which is it's a biome in Mina. And we're now working on Bone Beach. And so for that, you'll know when you play the game where we're at. But it's one of those things where it's hard to give a progress bar of where exactly are we with Mina. We're off to a very good start, and we have a lot planned for the game. But yeah, it's very difficult to define percentage-wise. But we're really happy with what we have so far, and we're going to keep in constant communication with all of our community so they know every step of the way where we're at. And once we're able to say, okay, I think this is ready to ship, I'll be sure to let everyone know. But in the meantime, development's going really well. Talk to you soon.
Okay, so one last fun question. Mina and Shovel Knight, where we see them cross over with one another?
That'd be so cool. I want to see like a Mina Shovel Knight Cyber Shadow, I don't know, brawler or something in the future. Right now we're keeping their universes separate, so you won't be seeing any crossovers as of right now, but it'd be really cool to see in a feature game or something. That'd be awesome.
Okay, so in other words, we're going to see Mina in Brawlhalla in like about 3 years or so.
Sounds about right.
That'll be our crossover.
That'd be probably pretty cool. Yeah, they could finally meet in another game. I don't know, maybe in the next Smash, who knows?
Oh, that'd be pretty awesome.
I know, right? It's not happening, but like that'd be so cool though. Well, I'm just like making requests. I already told League to call me, so why not them too?
Hey, why not? I mean, Shovel Knight got super popular real quick, and fans seem to love the way Mina is going.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Miss Celia, thank you so much for joining us and answering our questions and talking about Shovel Knight and giving us a little update on Mina. Good luck to you and the rest of Yacht Club Games. I hope that we can do another interview, a much longer one next time, because there's so much that I would love to ask and talk about. But I know you guys are super busy, especially with 25 people. So, Miss Celia, I truly appreciate you taking this time to sit down and speak with me, and good luck for the rest of the development with Mina The Hollower.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And thank you for having me on. It's been really fun.